Hello everyone and welcome. So today's video is all about how you can incorporate a twist into your adventure. A twist is a sudden turn of events that can steer your adventure in a different direction or change how players feel about the ending. A good example of this would be the reveal of Zybilna being Tasha at the end of Wild Beyond the Witchlight. To begin, we're going to start with a twist of identity. A GM may have several reasons for wanting to use a twist of identity, and this could include a need to surprise players, add layers to the adventure, or change the relationship between characters. There are several ways of creating identity twists, and an NPC or villain, for example, may have either a hidden identity, mistaken identity, heritage identity, split identity, or a false identity. I think hidden, mistaken, and false identities are pretty simple concepts to grasp, as they're in plenty of films and books. Likewise, the same goes for heritage identity. An obvious example being Luke Skywalker finding out his dad is Darth Vader. However, a split identity doesn't typically come to mind when I'm thinking of a plot twist. With a split identity, a character may not even know they have another identity. For example, in Curse of Strahd, Irina doesn't know that she's the reincarnation of Tatiana. Well, sort of. Irina doesn't have a hidden or false identity, as she's not deliberately trying to conceal who she is. The second twist is a twist of motive. This twist is all about a character showing their true motivations. A twist of motive reshapes a narrative by revealing unexpected reasons behind a character's actions. A twist of motive changes the why of the story, forcing players to reevaluate their understanding of their journey. Imagine an NPC whose betrayal stems not from greed, but from a desperate attempt to protect a loved one. Such a revelation shifts the emotional stakes and adds a layer of empathy and even tension. Alternatively, a seemingly noble character might actually be driven by selfishness, ambition, or revenge, which contrasts against their charming personality, let's say. Motive twists are very effective because they shine a light on the unpredictable nature of human behaviour. They make players think more about morality and perspective, while also blurring the lines between good and evil. This is where rich backstories are helpful, as you can hide so much in them. Regardless, a well-done twist of motive really leans into an exploration of character motivation, which should get your players thinking. A twist of perception involves a gradual or sometimes sudden revelation that what the audience or characters thought was true was in fact an illusion or misunderstanding. Now, I really like this type of twist as it challenges a player's assumptions and also reminds us of any biases we may have. The same goes for the GM too, who is writing the plot, as to create a good twist of perception, an understanding of common assumptions and biases is crucial. The types of stories that tend to have twists of perception are psychological thrillers and mysteries. So if your game is quite cerebral, let's say, or a conspiracy is a central part of the plot, then including a twist of perception is a good choice. If we look at The Truman Show, for example, when we know Truman is living on a film set, it dramatically alters the way we perceive what happens in the film. To use a twist of perception effectively, you need to be subtle with your foreshadowing. There may be clues in your environment that suggest something is amiss, or an NPC reveals something odd in a conversation. All of these examples, of course, are clear with hindsight, but not in the moment. What makes a twist of perception so satisfying is how it reframes a narrative, prompting players to reevaluate the story and NPCs from a fresh perspective. Generally, this heightens empathy as it forces them to see an event or world from someone else's point of view, which makes your adventure very immersive and, of course, memorable. A twist of fortune is an unforeseen change in circumstances that significantly alters the trajectory of events in the adventure. It could be a sudden reversal of fate, or an unexpected boon or catastrophe, or, in other words, a stroke of good or bad luck. In Dungeons & Dragons, this can be achieved through magic or a dramatic shift in alliances, for example, like my game about Anne Boleyn. A twist of fortune can even happen as a result of a critical success or failure at a pivotal moment. I've definitely experienced a few of those in the 5-year campaign I've been playing in. For a twist of fortune to have the most impact, though, it has to happen at the right time. Let's say your players have worked tirelessly to take over an enemy stronghold, only to discover that the big baddie or supervillain anticipated their arrival, or perhaps a trusted ally is revealed as a traitor, or an ancient artifact they've been seeking is cursed. This reversal of fortunes forces players to rethink their strategies, which can be as equally frustrating as satisfying. Another effective way to include a twist of fortune is by integrating it with your players' choices. For instance, if the group spares a seemingly unimportant NPC earlier in the campaign, this NPC could return later and either help or harm the party. This reinforces the idea that player actions do actually shape the world, even when chance and some lucky or unlucky rolls occasionally intervene. Now, a word of caution when using twists of fortune. Above all, they should feel natural, rather than shoehorned in. For example, your players may have read or heard about a 1,000-year-old prophecy that hints about a pending betrayal. Other more elaborate ways to signal that something in their fortune will change is by using divine intervention, let's say, or random surges in magical energy. You can even use history as inspiration or call upon events such as comets. A twist of fulfillment happens when an apparent gain or achievement by one character is suddenly matched or snatched at the last moment by an opposing character. This can also happen when players achieve something big, but an unexpected outcome occurs, and usually that outcome is very bad. So let's say they destroy a powerful artifact. Great, it's what they were sent to do. But little do they know that this artifact contains a potent magical energy that threatens to destroy the world when it's unleashed. Maybe they should have left that artifact alone, right? You can also incorporate a twist of fulfillment into actual world building. So let's say your players are knights, working to liberate and restore a ruined kingdom. They build schools, homes, cathedrals and libraries, only to discover that the rightful heir is a tyrant. This unexpected outcome forces players to reassess their goals and makes them think about their choices. Do they regret rebuilding a kingdom because it now belongs to a vicious king? Or do the benefits for society and the wider community outweigh that? I really like fulfillment twists, as they add moral ambiguity to the player's journey. Instead of interpreting the outcome as good or bad, it forces them to think in a more nuanced way, which encourages reflection. So you know what plot twists and reveals you want in your game, but how do you go about concealing them in your adventure writing? Fortunately, there are several tools that can help with this. First up are red herrings. Red herrings divert the player's attention away from your intended twist with another idea or plot point. When done well, they really throw players off the true twist you had planned. Next is misguided focus. This is where a significant amount of storytelling is placed upon something which ultimately isn't important to the story. Perhaps there is a fabled treasure map an NPC keeps talking about, or a player has a rich relative who keeps leaving them letters promising to send them something valuable, but nothing ever happens. Finally, there are dead ends. These are expected twists that actually lead nowhere. Nevertheless, they should leave the players intrigued and surprised, but never confused. Their goal is to make players fearful of overthinking, so they dismiss your true plot twists. When writing plot twists, I like to keep in mind this quote from Rachel Scheller of Writer's Digest. Readers, or in this instance players, want their emotional investment to pay off. The twist should never occur in a way that makes them feel tricked, deceived, or insulted. Great twists always deepen, never cheapen readers' investment in the story, or in this case, game. So that's all for today, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.